and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of a different aspect of Hampton's history than the one you usually hear from us. My guests are Diane and Greg Stephenson. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
And people probably can tell by the way you're dressed that you are here representing Native Americans, and in particular the Meherrin Nation.
That's correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history or the culture or why you're here?
Well, first of all, in my own language, Chwant Ashkenaha. The Meherrin Nation is one of 4 southern Iroquois groups in the area, extending all the way down to South Carolina, including the Cherokee, the Nottoway, the Tuscarora.
So people may be more familiar with some of those individual tribal names than the confederation? Is that the nation?
Correct.
Okay.
Hampton decided to involve the 3 cultures instead of just the exclusive one culture. They're honoring the native culture that was here thousands of years prior. And as my husband said, the Iroquois people this was part of trading routes, and we all intermingled with the Anishinaabe, Algonquin people, as well as the Iroquois people. And also the Europeans and their culture, as well as the Africans who came as slaves and evolved into the contraband and then the freedom. There's a lot of history here in Hampton to be told, and we're very proud to be a part of that.
There is, and so this event is now called Hampton Heritage Day, and it's on April 12th. And you guys in particular are going to be doing a lot of education, involvement, and things that people can experience, not just read in books. What are some of the things that will be going on?
Most definitely. We're bringing something very new, including our regalia here, our clothing. It's very new to people that have not seen the Eastern culture. You don't see it a lot. I come from a very traditional tribe, the Meherrin Nation, and a lot of the other Iroquois groups here are very traditional, and it's our social dances, songs, language. It's not been heard and seen in a very long time, and I guess for some people it seems very strange what we have on because they're used to Western regalia. We're not Western people, we're Eastern woodland people, and this is the traditional clothing, and our styles are traditional for this area.
Yes, and there will be demonstrations for beading and also for an ancient art of finger weaving. There will also be Iroquois weaponry and ceremony, and there will be an address by the Chief Wayne Brown of the Meherrin Nation, and it's promising to be a very beautiful event. We're very excited.
It sounds wonderful, and I think there's just so much richness here, but so much of the Native people were pushed out and really not allowed to continue with their culture, as you know, first of all the settlers landed here and then pushed westward. How did the two of you manage to either reconnect or retain within your families that sense of people and place and history?
Well, me personally, I grew up in a traditional family with a great-grandfather who spoke very little English. He spoke his language, and he was a very traditional Native person, along with my grandmother in our household. So
you had that 3-generation.
Most definitely, which is a very rare thing for Native people here because most of the culture has been annihilated.
So you were just fortunate that your family kept their tradition and heritage alive.
Most definitely. It's a precious treasure.
It is. To even be able to speak the language, I'm going to guess, is really pretty darn rare.
It is. It's very few speakers left, and I speak quite a bit of my language. And that's one of the things that we're very pleased to be able to bring to the Hampton Heritage Days is we will do what's called the Thanksgiving Address, Aganonyok, and it is thanking the Creator for all the blessings and things that the Creator has given us. And it's very unfortunate that our language has not been heard on this land, in this area, for hundreds of years. And we're very pleased to be able to bring that back and allow all the rest of the cultures to share in this.
That's really neat. Now, what about you? Did you always grow up knowing that culture, or did you have a period of assimilation at which point you went back and kind of
Yes,
reconnected?
I have always, in our family, we always knew that we were Native. We were more assimilated than Greg's family was, definitely. But in my heart and in my soul, we always knew. And so I went to powwows. I wasn't connected to the Native community. My grandmother was deceased, so I did not have a lot of connection. But I'm very grateful that through my ancestors, I have been able to find my way back to language and culture. And we're very involved in our Native communities and with revitalizing the language and the culture, and the women's groups that we have also revitalizing a lot of the traditional dances and songs.
Is that hard here in Hampton and Virginia? I mean, have you been able to find enough people with, even if not the Meherrin Nation, but with some sort of Native backgrounds to connect to, or?
We're still here. I want you to know, we're still here. We may be your neighbor.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that I've talked to a number of people on the show, a lot of people who are, or I thought were African American, who actually had also a Native American background, that there was a lot of, assimilation and people intermarried. And so they know they have that background, but I don't know that they're, that they connect or are as practiced with it.
Well, again, we come from traditional people, not unlike any other people. We normally don't get into who's mixed with what, the same way I'm sure Caucasians don't tend to tell that story either. We're traditionally triracial people, given the story since 1600s. But it's a story that it needs to be told, and people need to, understand that.
And that triracial is really Hampton's makeup and what Hampton Heritage Day is all about. Whether I have that background or not, I can still learn and appreciate the contributions of the culture and the people. And I think so many people are interested in doing that. I know during the year that the city celebrated their 400th anniversary, one of the most popular events was a traditional powwow. I think people know in general that used to exist and want to learn about that piece of the history. Do you find that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why we're very happy to be able to present that. I think everyone will be extremely pleased when they come out to see.
All right, now I'm going to ask you each to tell me a little bit about what you're wearing. Did you make it? How did it come about? I mean, that beadwork is beautiful. The hummingbird, the flowers, it's gorgeous.
Thank you. And this is traditional Iroquois women's dress that was taken on after the Europeans came and we became trading with cloth.
Because I can see there's some European influence there.
Absolutely. And what you'll find is everything on our regalia is very meaningful to us individually. This is the hummingbird, and this regalia was designed and decorated by Belinda, a member of the Meherrin Nation. Beautiful beadwork, and she will actually be one of the demonstrators at the event, and she will be teaching some beading, so people will be able to see her beautiful work. And she describes to me that the hummingbird is significant. It's a beautiful creature that is the only animal that can hover, fly forward, backwards, and it represents the ability to do the impossible, and it's very inspirational. And the blue, meaning with the peaceful tranquility, and also the Meherrin with the water. That's the name of the people of the water.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even need to ask that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And you're wearing what I would have considered maybe more traditional. Maybe it's not necessarily your people, but the more of the quill beading and the natural materials.
Yes, and most of everything that I have except for the shirt. My mother made the shirt. But I make most of my stuff, and I make a lot of my wife's stuff also. the beadwork, the quill work, the wampum, which you see the wampum bands.
Those are wampum bands?
Yes,
Okay.
those are wampum bands. And my headpiece is called a gastor, and it is the headpiece of a warrior, as I am, even 3-time vet for this country. So I've earned the place to wear it. So yeah, this is very traditional. A lot of my beadwork goes into very old stories of creation, are stories that go back for thousands of years. So it has a lot of symbolism in it. A number of things you have to have permission to even adorn it. So.
Like what? Give me an example.
If you were to, I'll give you a different type of example.
Okay.
Some of my tattoos, I have traditional tattoos that date back to my clan, and again, I would have to have permission to even wear them. You can't see them now because I have the shirt on. And even our shirts go back to a very early time, which the English settlers were surprised when they met the Skaruda people, the people of the shirt. They were surprised that we had hemp shirts on. It was very surprising to them. So it evolved into what it is presently today.
All right, and also I'm going to ask, and please excuse me for not knowing, but if you had hemp shirts, your people then were farmers, and you mentioned trading partners. So background-wise, farmers and stationary, or migratory hunters, or some combination of both?
A combination. We were sedimentary people here. We stayed within our territories, again, which extend from South Carolina to Canada.
Pretty big territory.
Yeah, we controlled the trade route here. We were the most powerful nation, even more powerful than the Powwow Confederation.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add that I have forgotten to ask?
There will be storytelling also.
Oh, wonderful.
And the creation story that Greg mentioned, that will be shared with the public for the first time probably here in hundreds of years. So.
Wow. And you were going to do that in your own tongue, but I assume you'll translate or have an explanation for the rest of us?
We will translate, and the Aganonyok is something that our people have done for thousands of years, and normally it may take a week or longer. So I will do the shortened version, and I will translate also.
And I guess it is probably a ceremonial or a very special occasion, and you're probably dressed as you would be for a special occasion. This is not what people would have worn day to day, I assume. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's progressively become contemporary, but a lot of our day-to-day wares were very fancy, and we spent a lot of time with them. So they may not have been as simple as you believed them to have been.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, thank you both for coming, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, April 12th at Hampton Heritage Day.
We hope you'll be there.
Also.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
And thank you. I hope you've learned a little bit about the Meherrin Nation. I know I have, and certainly I have a long way to go in learning more, so I hope to see you at Hampton Heritage Day as well. Thank you.